Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, brought to you by the Metal Packager, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging market. Today we welcome Vobev's General Manager, Eric Cudnohoske, to the show. Vobev is a newly announced independent can maker and filler in North America that will streamline the beverage supply chain under one manufacturing roof. Every can produced in Vobev's facility is made from aluminium. In addition to this, they utilise truly sustainable and recycling raw materials, and Vobev will practice eco-friendly methods like the use of solar power and water reclamation to minimise its overall carbon footprint. Under their nifty tag, no plastics, no glass, just aluminium, sounds good, the company is seeking to change the dynamics of the can making supply chain forever. I hope you enjoy the podcast. So can you just provide a bit of an overview of yourself first of all? I know you said you mentioned you've been involved in the plastics industry, so that sounds quite interesting because usually, certainly key players and people with a lot of experience, plant managers, etc., tend to have a heritage steeped within the industry for a good number of years. So I think the fact that you're bringing some new ideas to the table about how other industries work, particularly the plastics market, I think that's quite an interesting and diverse background and flavour for us to delve into in a little bit more detail.
Sure. You know, it's Vobev is a big experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really have done that from top to bottom. I myself has been in the plastics and food industry for over 20 years. Spent the majority of my time in the plastics industry, managing business units and things like that, and working process within that packaging industry, from a blown film to a lamination to printing to pouching, and then the customer side of it. So I've had all that, and then I spent a tour in the food industry for about 11 years. So I went from making the plastic that the food goes into to buying the plastic and putting food into that plastic. So it gave me both sides of what that fence looks like and how everybody plays together and how you can get things done collaboratively. That was really, I think, an important takeaway to the manufacturing experiences that I've had up to date. And, through that, I think, again, the biggest takeaway I've had was people. You cannot have a business without people. As I tell my team, we have this big 1.2 million square foot campus with all these cool machines in it and all these things we're going to do. But if we don't have the people, it's just a building. That's all it is. So, that's really important. It's important to me, but it's truly important to Vobev, and it's ingrained in the leadership team and then everybody else that's in Vobev. So it's really kind of cool. We've continued to grow that idea. Safety, quality, and people are kind of the value systems of Vobev, and we continue to work that and hone that. And we're seeing, again, just from the media coverage, from coverage like yourself, Alex, we're seeing just awesome things because we're different. Kind of like what you said in the beginning, looking at somebody from the packaging industry, kind of manning up Vobev is definitely a little different. But at the same time, manufacturing can be manufacturing as long as you understand that safety is paramount. A high quality product is really important, and people are what make the thing run.
Absolutely, and they're transferable skills, so to speak. And I think that the fact that the fundamentals, whether it is whatever beverage container you're talking about in the packaging sector, or for myself, journalism, etc., where the fundamentals don't change. It's about people. It's about relationships. And I think that if you stick to those core principles, then you can't go too far wrong, really.
That's exactly right. And that was, I think, as we've grown here over the past 8 to 10 months, that's really come to the forefront as we've gone out and we've gathered our leadership team and we gathered our managers and those folks. They're subject matter experts in their areas. And again, it's again, not that you can't make a can or you can't fill a can or you can't do this. It's that you understand those fundamental principles and then you apply them. And you apply them to, in this case, can making and can filling and logistics. It doesn't mean that that it's easy. We're fooling ourselves if we say that. It's going to be very hard. It's an uphill battle. One of the reasons why there's not that many people in this. It's a hard industry. Yeah. There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of things when it comes to, the customers and making sure you're on time and all these types of things. So it's an uphill battle, but I think Vobev is up to the challenge, and we're going to really embrace that uphill battle.
Could you just provide a bit of background behind Vobev? Who's funding this venture? A little bit about their background, and just filling in the gaps for us about where we've come to now, and how long has this been in the offing pre-COVID, or has this come in sort of during the pandemic, and particularly in the US because of the huge growth we've seen in metal packaging? Is it been a case of seeing an opportunity there, or has this been in the offing for 5 years plus?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, Vobev is a private company, so a lot of the things that you asked we don't disclose. What we can say is that going back to where did Vobev come from, or how did it start? Vobev has been around since 2019. So we'd love to sit here and say that we saw this stuff coming on the horizon, but we didn't. It was a play. It really is what it was. The group that is Vobev was looking around at what can we do? How can we do things differently? The name disruptor wasn't really in the Vobev vernacular initially. We looked at a bunch of different packaging ideas and a bunch of different ways to do business. And we came into the can side and making an aluminum can. It was a process for sure. But I think at the end, looking back, it was the right way to do it. Yeah. Having COVID come and a pandemic happen, the can shortage that was kind of already coming prior to COVID is something that is going to obviously help us and all our other everybody else that's making a can and filling a can. We didn't go into this thinking that at all. What the business model was for Vobev and will continue to be, Vobev is here to help the small and medium-sized customer. And I think that's focused even more in the pandemic, in this can shortage, because when you look out there and you look at what's happened in our industry, and again, I'm a manufacturing guy at heart and I understand it. Everybody's looking how to squeeze the capacity that's there. How do you do that? Well, you do longer runs, you do bigger runs, you do things like that. Who then kind of gets left out in the cold? And that's those little and medium-sized guys, because they're not looking at multi-millions of cans. And the Vobev business model is just that. We're looking at the littler guys, the medium-sized guys. Of course, if a big-sized guy comes along, of course we're going to look at him. We're going to kick the tires. Why wouldn't you? We're in a business just like everybody else. But at the end of the day, when everything settles, when everything comes back, and Vobev is cruising along, we're going to be working with those little and medium-sized guys and helping them get to market quicker with a good quality, safe product. That is where I think the Vobev bread and butter is really going to be.
Absolutely, and certainly the innovation that we're seeing at the moment isn't necessarily at the end where you've got high volumes, and because that, as we said earlier, about that side of the market is very traditional, but the growth in hard seltzer, can wine, can water, these small to medium-sized guys, that's the real, I think, interest at the moment. So I think there's a nice gap in the market certainly for you guys, because I know there are lots of sort of smaller players doing the can filling or the can making, but doing the all-in-one approach, I think, is definitely an interesting side of things. So that's something I'd like to look into now, if that's okay. If you can just provide a few of the benefits of this new approach that we're seeing to the industry, and also perhaps why this hasn't been devised before as well. That's probably
Sure.
the thing I'm most curious about.
First and foremost, again, we've said it, and we should probably make a T-shirt or something. It's we fill cans, we make cans, and we ship cans. Obviously, in that we're shortening that supply chain. We're shortening that logistics period because we're not shipping cans here, there, and everywhere to fill them or multi-pack them or do anything like that. We can do that all under one roof. And we feel that that's the game changer. That is how we can help those little to medium-sized guys, because if we have somebody that comes to us and they have a couple different flavors. And yeah, they're just hooked in with a deal with somebody, and they need to get it out in 10 weeks or less. If we have the line time, if we can do the R&D or whatever is going to be needed, there's a good chance we can get that out there, because we have these, again, top of the line, what everybody else is using from a can line, from a fill line. And then the kind of the wild card is the multi-pack line. We have an automated multi-pack line that can do all sorts of different flavors, that can do all sorts of different pack configurations. So we can find ways to get those people, those customers, out into the market in a way that they probably haven't had access to in the past. That I think is going to be the business prop that Vobev will be known for. Again, it's not that how come somebody hasn't done this? I'm not here to speculate on why somebody hasn't. We saw, after we did our kind of research in the industry and looked around, we just saw that, hey, this is something that isn't out there today. There's a couple, I think, worldwide that there's a couple, but in the North American market, there really wasn't anything out there. And we said, why not? There's always the why, well, all these different things, but why not? Why not do it? Why not see what happens? And right now, I can say I think the right decision was made.
I'm just reading press releases. So you're planning to begin production the end of Q4, so before the end of the year. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Right now, everything looks to be on schedule. We're looking at fourth quarter, probably end of somewhere, not the beginning, because that's 15 days away.
So yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So we're I think it's somewhere in the fourth quarter, probably on the back end. We're trending towards. Again, we picked a heck of a time to pull this thing together. With COVID and supply chain issues, the same thing we're going against in our business model is the same thing that we're fighting with all these supply chain problems when it comes to manufacturing and construction. But I'm proud to say the team that we have together and all our partners continues to find ways to make things happen, to make it work, and to keep us on track so that we can get out there and we can start helping these folks that we want to help.
Absolutely. Have you got any customers, well-known companies that you're involved with, or is that, I assume you probably can't share that with us, unfortunately, but I thought I'd ask anyway.
Yeah, and you got to, and I appreciate that. Again, we are a private company. We don't necessarily share that kind of information. However, you've kind of perused, and I think it's worthwhile saying that the areas that we're kind of looking at that we're going to launch with is the charged water area, the carbonated soft drink area, and the energy drinks. And then we'll fast follow in 22 with wines, spirits, and hard seltzers. So, and then there'll be, and we'll evaluate as we continue to move forward. Again, the campus is very large. The building is very large, plenty of room. We can adjust. I think that's one of the neat things about Vobev is we can look at things and we can pivot maybe a little quicker than some. So if all of a sudden the kombucha market really, really explodes, or there's some new innovation out there, we can pivot and we can go towards that if need be. So, we have a plan today, but that doesn't mean the plan is going to be there and we'll execute against it because something else might come up.
Absolutely. And on the equipment side, is there anything there you can share with us at all, or is that a similar situation?
Well, there's some things I can share. I'm not going to go into details on who's our partners and things like that. But what I can share is, we're going into the market with two can types, with the 250 milliliter 8.4 ounce, and then the 355 milliliter 12 ounce cans. We'll have the ability to decorate in line. We will also have the ability to sleeve. And then on the back side with filling, we will have the opportunity to, again, sleeve or have a decorated can. And then we can go into anywhere from a 4-pack carton all the way up to a 12 to 24 count tray, and all the variations in between there. And again, I think we're going into that because at that point in time when we were making decisions, we were trying to look in our crystal ball and see what was there, and that seemed to be where we wanted to be. However, I think we can pivot and we can do other things as we need to. So while we're saying this is where we're starting, I don't know that that's going to be where we end up.
So yes, by the sounds of it, flexibility is key, and one of the advantages, as we've said earlier, is that you can be more reactive to the marketplace, whereas a lot of the some of the high-profile can makers that we know are household names, where they're very much tied into long-term arrangements that they can't get out of if the market shifts for any reason. And I think that's the exciting bit about this, that it's almost bringing the small to medium-sized players. It's bringing the service of a well-known can maker, but bringing it to them that's affordable to them by the sounds of it. So I think that's a great option.
I think that's a really key point, Alex, what you just brought forward. That again, the can makers that are out there, at some point, someday, hopefully we partner with them, because again, we don't look at anybody as our competitors. We look at them as people we want to partner with. And I think you're right. The key is going to be to work towards those mid to smaller customers. One of the things we haven't talked about yet is the fact that we're, again, on the campus, on the Vobev campus, we're going to have these innovation places. We're going to have an R&D. We're going to really work towards building Salt Lake as the mecca towards beverage. We'll have the ability to bring customers in. We'll have the ability to innovate with them and look at what is a game changer. How can we change the game in doing something? And then we can execute against it in a relatively short period of time. Now that doesn't mean, we're going to put the world on its ear necessarily, but we'll do the best we can, and I think that's kind of the really, really exciting part to this. We have all these opportunities. We have, again, from the media coverage, we have all these different opportunities coming towards us in all the areas that we've talked about. And, it's really going to be how do we satisfy that, and how do we move forward so that everybody can win in this?
Yeah, you mentioned Salt Lake City. I mean, curious to know why the decision was made on that location. I mean, from an outsider looking in, you always got as almost the craft beer hub of Colorado, for instance, or certainly on the can making equipment side of things. You've got other areas such as Dayton, Ohio, where you've got lots of companies. So I'm just curious to know why you've chosen Salt Lake. Is it purely because that's the guys who've initiated this are from that area, or is it a case you think there's an opportunity there in particular?
I think it came down to the opportunity. When we were looking around, and we looked around in a lot of different places. As you said, you're looking to do something new and different. The world is open to you. And as we kind of went through things, one of the things that became really kind of forefront to Vobev, again, was people, education, working hard, manufacturing. That's in the DNA of Utah. That's in the DNA of Salt Lake City. That's in the DNA of people. And that was when we were looking around. We're like, wow, this is impressive as we look at this and see this. And we wanted to gravitate towards that. Now there's some other intangibles with that. In the Utah Valley and in Salt Lake there, we have access to the West Coast. We have access to California and Oregon and Washington and Colorado. And it's something that, again, I think we will benefit from by doing that, because there really isn't a lot there right now. Doesn't mean that there won't be in the future. But right now, it's kind of the West is open to Vobev. So I think that combination of having the ability to get to the West and service that, but also have this key component of people that really want to do the right thing when it comes to manufacturing was a marriage that really was made in heaven.
Something within the industry that's always been talked about recently is the fact that can making, metal packaging, is an old industry. So you've got people that have worked in it for 30, 40 years. So finding good young people is tricky, particularly being involved in manufacturing, which isn't necessarily seen as the most sexiest of occupations. Everyone's into tech and all that sort of thing, Silicon Valley and all that side of things. So has that been tricky, finding good staff to employ?
We'd be foolish to say no, right? Everybody has that problem right now. And it is truly an issue, because you're right. trying to find manufacturing folks that want to come and put in a good hard day's work in something that's not very sexy. You're doing hard work is different. However, what I'd love to say is, the team that we've put together at Vobev, the HR team, has done a phenomenal job at bringing things to the forefront of what matters most to people: culture, empowerment, a voice. Yeah. These are all things that are centric to Vobev. And we found, and hot off the press, we did a hiring fair over the last 2 days, and had awesome response. The Vobev name is on the tips of the tongues of many, many people in the Salt Lake Valley, which again is fascinating to myself and my team, because really we've been working just media and just kind of press releases, and we've done our best to kind of fly under the radar. So there's a lot of manufacturing folks out there that know the name Vobev and have heard how different we are to the rest of the industry, and want to look and want to check out and see, are we really serious about what we're talking about? And I can look everybody in the face and say, we're dead serious. We're going to make a difference. Our goal is to be the employer of choice in the Salt Lake Valley, in Salt Lake City. People will have a voice in what they do. They will have empowerment, because that's how we're going to succeed. Again, Alex, can making, as you said, isn't a sexy thing. There's some hard work to it. But again, these are jobs. When you put this machinery down, these jobs aren't going to go anywhere. You're not going to pick up and just leave because something happens. This is something that's going to be for forever.
You're quite right. It's a good point that one of the advantages, touch wood, so to speak, is that it's a fairly recession-proof industry because of packaging, and metal packaging has been around for a very long time. And I think we're only just scratching the surface on the benefits, particularly with the sustainability, environmental agenda, and particularly for young people. So we're on a crest of a wave, I think, and it's looking really positive. So I certainly wish you the best of luck. And by the sounds of it, with your certainly the passion that I'm hearing here, that I'm sure it will undoubtedly be a success. So I do wish you well. Is there anything else that we've missed that we need to mention?
I think one of the other things that really didn't touch on, and I will touch on it quickly here at the end, is the environmental side of things. As you said, there's some environmental things that we're going to have the opportunity to do. One of the biggest things under the model, the Vobev model, hey, we make a can, we fill a can, we ship a can. We're taking the overall shipping part of this overall piece and condensing it. So we're taking hundreds, if not thousands, of trucks off the road every year. That's a big deal. We're going to take every opportunity we can to ship on rail, wherever that is, which is a lot more environmentally friendly than driving through Salt Lake Valley or California or wherever with the diesel truck. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just something that we're really working towards. With being in the Salt Lake Valley, we have the opportunity to do solar. We have the opportunity to do water reclamation, and those things are forefront for Vobev. So we are going to look at doing things differently and helping the environment and helping the folks in Salt Lake, so that when the day comes, we can say that Vobev came in and we're gonna do things better, so that the future is brighter for those of us who are our children in the future.
Thanks to Eric for giving up his time during an immensely busy period. With an emphasis on carbon footprint and simplifying supply chains, Vobev's new innovative take and its all under one roof strategy is a fascinating concept, and one we'll be keeping an eye on in the coming months. We'll be interested to hear your views, so please do get in touch. Please be sure to like our podcast, and if you haven't yet subscribed to The Metal Packager, please visit metalpackager.com/subscribe. We'll be back real soon for our next episode. You take care now.